Imagine a starship captain navigating through an asteroid field. The ship's sensors are bombarded with signals from countless sources. Some warn of danger, others promise safe passage, and many are just noise. What determines whether our captain reaches their destination safely? The ability to filter out the noise and trust their own navigation system. Your mind is that starship, and other people's opinions are those competing signals. Today we're going to explore the complete guide to mental independence. How to navigate life without constantly seeking approval from others, while still remaining connected to the world around us. This isn't about becoming a hermit or dismissing everyone else. It's about developing what ancient Stoics called the citadel of the mind, an unshakable core that remains steady regardless of external turbulence. Chapter 1: The Opinion Matrix. Picture this. In the year 2180, humanity has developed something called the opinion matrix. It's a neural network that instantly shows you what everyone thinks about your every decision. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Well, here's the twist. We're already living in that world. Social media notifications, workplace feedback, family comments, strangers' glances. We're constantly plugged into an opinion matrix that never stops transmitting. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, wrote, "How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does." But he wasn't advocating for isolation. He was pointing to something deeper, the difference between being aware and being dependent. Think of opinion dependency as a software bug in your mental operating system. Every time you make a decision based primarily on what others might think, you're running on borrowed processing power. Your authentic self becomes a background process while someone else's preferences take control of your main functions. The first step to fixing this bug? Recognizing when it's running. Chapter 2: The Validation Algorithm. Let's conduct a thought experiment. Imagine you have an AI assistant that constantly seeks approval for every decision. Should I process this data? What do you think about my calculations? Am I performing well enough? This AI would be incredibly inefficient, right? It would spend more time seeking validation than actually completing tasks. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us are running this exact validation algorithm in our daily lives. We check our appearance in every reflection, second-guess our words after conversations, and modify our behavior based on perceived reactions. Epictetus, who went from slave to one of history's greatest philosophers, understood this perfectly. He taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about events. And whose judgments do we often prioritize? Other people's. Here's where it gets scientifically interesting. Neuroscientist Dr. Matthew Lieberman discovered that our brains treat social rejection the same way they treat physical pain. The anterior cingulate cortex lights up identically whether someone steps on your foot or dismisses your idea. This means your brain literally experiences criticism as injury. No wonder we develop such elaborate defense mechanisms. We're trying to prevent neurological pain. But here's the plot twist. You can reprogram this response. Chapter 3: Installing Mental Firewalls. In cybersecurity, a firewall examines incoming data and decides what to allow through. Your mind needs the same protection system for opinions and judgments. Step 1: implement the source code analysis. When someone offers an opinion about your life, ask yourself, what's their credentials for this particular judgment? Would you take financial advice from someone who's constantly broke? Relationship guidance from someone who can't maintain friendships? Career direction from someone stuck in a job they hate? This isn't about being dismissive, it's about being selective with your mental bandwidth. Step 2: the projection scanner. Often what people criticize in others reveals more about their own insecurities than reality. That colleague who constantly questions your decisions? They might be projecting their own self-doubt. The family member who worries you're taking too many risks? They might be trapped by their own fears. Step 3: the intent filter. Is this feedback coming from love and genuine concern, or from ego and competition? The same words can have completely different values depending on their source code. Seneca wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." When you stop automatically accepting every opinion as valid data, you begin to trust your own processing system. Chapter 4, the Inner Compass Calibration. Imagine you're an explorer on an alien planet. The local inhabitants all point in different directions when you ask for the path home. Some seem helpful, others appear confused, and a few might even be leading you toward danger. What's your most reliable navigation tool? Your own compass. Your values are your inner compass, but most people have never taken the time to calibrate them properly. They're using settings programmed by parents, peers, media, and society, often without ever questioning whether these settings actually point toward their true north. Here's a calibration exercise. Write down the 3 most important decisions you've made in the past year. Now, honestly assess, how much did other people's potential reactions influence those choices? If the answer is significantly, then your compass might need recalibrating. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, discovered something profound in the concentration camps. He noticed that prisoners who maintained their inner sense of meaning and values were more likely to survive than those who depended entirely on external circumstances. He wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Your attitude is the one thing that remains completely under your control, regardless of what others think or say." Chapter 5, the Confidence Operating System. True confidence isn't about feeling superior to others. It's about being independent from their evaluations altogether. Think of it as upgrading from a system that requires constant external validation to one that runs on internal power sources. The ancient Stoics had a brilliant concept called preferred indifference. These are things that might be nice to have, wealth, fame, approval, but aren't necessary for your fundamental well-being. They're like bonus features in software, useful but not essential for core functionality. When you treat others' opinions as preferred indifference, something magical happens. Positive feedback becomes a pleasant surprise rather than a necessity. Criticism becomes data to consider rather than an emergency alert. Here's a counterintuitive truth. The less you need approval, the more likely you are to receive it. People are naturally drawn to those who seem secure in themselves. It's like gravitational physics. The more mass you have at your core, the more things orbit around you naturally. But this isn't about becoming cold or disconnected. It's about engaging with others from a place of strength rather than neediness. Chapter 6, Debugging Social Anxiety. Social anxiety is essentially a prediction error in your mental software. Your brain calculates potential negative outcomes and assigns them a probability far higher than reality supports. Dr. Albert Ellis, the founder of rational emotive behavior therapy, identified what he called catastrophic thinking patterns. These are mental loops where we imagine the worst possible social consequences and treat them as inevitable. For example, if I speak up in this meeting and say something wrong, everyone will think I'm incompetent, I'll lose credibility, my career will be ruined, and I'll end up unemployed and alone. That's quite a chain reaction from one potentially awkward comment, isn't it? Here's the debugging process. When you catch yourself in one of these prediction spirals, ask 3 questions. What evidence do I have that this worst-case scenario is likely? Usually the answer is very little. Even if someone does judge me negatively, what concrete impact will that actually have on my life? Often the answer is minimal. Am I giving this person's opinion more weight than it deserves? The answer is usually yes. Remember, most people are too busy worrying about their own image to spend much time analyzing yours. It's like being an actor who's convinced the entire audience is scrutinizing every gesture, when in reality, half of them are checking their phones. Chapter 7, The Network Effect. Here's where we address a common misconception. Becoming independent from others' opinions doesn't mean becoming isolated from human connection. In fact, it often leads to deeper, more authentic relationships. Think of it like upgrading from a dependency-based network to a value-based one. Instead of connecting with people because you need their approval, you connect because you genuinely appreciate their perspective, enjoy their company, or share common values. The difference is profound. Dependency-based relationships are fragile. They break down the moment approval is withdrawn. Value-based relationships are resilient. They can withstand disagreement and even criticism because they're built on mutual respect rather than mutual validation. This is why some of the most admired leaders throughout history were people who were willing to stand alone when necessary. Gandhi didn't seek approval from the British Empire. Rosa Parks didn't wait for permission from segregationists. They acted from their inner compass, and others were drawn to that authenticity. As Marcus Aurelius observed, adapt yourself to the life you've been given, but love the people with whom you share it. Love them for who they are, not for how they make you feel about yourself. Chapter 8, Advanced Techniques. Now let's explore some advanced techniques for mental independence. The perspective zoom function. When someone's opinion starts affecting you strongly, zoom out. Imagine viewing the situation from space. Will this matter in 10 years? In 1 year? Often, even in 1 week? This isn't about minimizing genuine issues, but about putting temporary judgments in proper context. The opposition research method. This one's borrowed from political campaigns. When someone criticizes you, imagine you're their opponent in a debate. What evidence would you present to counter their argument? What are their weak points? What biases might they have? This isn't about being combative. It's about developing intellectual immunity to unfair criticism. The future self-consultation. Before making a decision based on others' opinions, imagine consulting with yourself 10 years in the future. What would that wiser, more experienced version of you advise? Usually they tell you to trust your instincts and stop worrying so much about temporary disapproval. The experiment mindset. Treat each situation where you might normally seek approval as a small experiment instead. What happens if I express my real opinion in this meeting? What if I wear what I actually like instead of what's expected? Approach it with curiosity rather than anxiety. Chapter 9, The Integration Protocol. Like any major software upgrade, integrating these new mental patterns takes time and practice. Don't expect to become completely opinion independent overnight. That would be like trying to run advanced programs on outdated hardware. Start small. Choose low-stakes situations to practice. Ordering what you actually want at a restaurant instead of what seems safe. Expressing a different opinion in casual conversation, or wearing something that feels authentically you. Notice your internal responses. When does the validation-seeking program try to restart? What triggers it? Awareness is the first step to changing any pattern. Keep a decision log. For 1 week, write down every decision you make and honestly assess how much other people's potential reactions influenced it. You might be surprised by what you discover. Practice the Stoic evening review. Before sleep, ask yourself, what did I do today from my own values versus external expectations? Where did I succeed in trusting my own judgment? Where can I improve tomorrow? Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Even the ancient philosophers struggled with these concepts throughout their lives. The difference is they kept working on it. As we reach the end of our journey through the landscape of mental independence, let's return to that starship captain we imagined at the beginning. The captain who successfully navigates the asteroid field isn't the one who ignores all signals. That would be reckless. It's the one who processes information intelligently, maintains confidence in their navigation system, and stays focused on their chosen destination. You are the captain of your own consciousness. Other people's opinions are just signals in space, some useful, some not, but none of them more important than your own internal guidance system. This doesn't make you selfish or disconnected. It makes you authentic. And authenticity is what allows for real connection with others because they're relating to who you actually are, not who you think they want you to be. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present. The present moment is the only place where your true power exists, not in others' past judgments or future approval, but in your present choice of how to think and act. The universe is vast and full of voices, but there's only one that truly knows your path, your values, and your purpose. Learn to listen to it above all others. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to live as the protagonist of your own story rather than a supporting character in everyone else's. The navigation system is already installed. You just need to learn to trust it